Dawdle. Verb. To move slowly or waste time without purpose. She liked to dawdle past the bakery window, breathing butter and sugar before work. Arduous. Adjective. Requiring great effort over a long period. Training for the mountain trek was arduous, with early mornings, heavy packs, and steady progress that rarely felt dramatic. Headstrong. Adjective. Stubbornly self-willed and hard to guide. The headstrong colt kept pulling toward the gate, and the trainer responded with patient circles until the animal finally chose calm over stubborn momentum. Sustain. Verb. To keep something going over time. To sustain momentum after the launch, they scheduled regular check-ins and tracked a few meaningful metrics instead of chasing every number. Inundate. Verb. To overwhelm someone with a great amount of something. After the story aired, the shop was inundated with orders, and the owner hired 2 neighbors to help pack jars until midnight, 3 nights in a row. Feign. Verb. To pretend to have a feeling or condition. He did not feign enthusiasm at the ceremony, but he kept his face steady, saving honest reactions for the walk home. Lingering. Adjective. Staying longer than expected before fading. A lingering smell of cedar remained in the attic, and it made the dusty trunk seem less abandoned than the dim rafters suggested. Salvage. Verb. To rescue something from loss or ruin. The storms soaked the picnic, but they salvaged the day by moving indoors and eating cake by candlelight. Censure. Noun. Strong official disapproval expressed publicly. After the audit, the chair issued a censure that was brief but heavy, and the room stayed still as pens stopped scratching. Foment. Verb. To stir up trouble or strong feeling. Gossip fomented a feud between neighbors who had shared a fence for 20 years. Attrition. Noun. A gradual wearing down by repeated pressure or friction. The dispute wore on through attrition until both sides agreed to split the bill. Receptive. Adjective. Willing to consider new ideas or suggestions. The editor was receptive to revision, moving pages around on the desk and inviting sharper arguments rather than defending every first draft. Speculative. Adjective. Built on guesses rather than solid proof. Speculative rumors about buried treasure had the whole village probing the dunes with sticks. Mortify. Verb. To cause someone to feel embarrassed or ashamed. It mortified him to realize he had sent the message to the whole list, and he spent the afternoon repairing trust with patient follow-ups. Bolster. Verb. To support or strengthen something. He tried to bolster her confidence before the presentation by rehearsing questions with her and reminding her of past successes. Forestall. Verb. To act first in order to prevent something from happening. She forestalled an argument by bringing bread and soup, turning the kitchen into a truce before anyone raised old complaints. Venerable. Adjective. Deserving respect because of age, wisdom, or history. The venerable courthouse stood above the square with weathered steps and tall windows that reflected the market tents below. Rescind. Verb. To officially cancel a decision or agreement. When the invitation rested on a mistaken date, the hosts rescinded it gently and sent a new card with the correct evening inked in green. Salient. Adjective. most noticeable or important in a situation. The most salient issue was not the new feature list, but the rising support backlog that threatened to erode trust. Credible. Adjective. Worthy of belief, because it is supported by evidence. His proposal sounded credible because he referenced prior results, outlined assumptions openly, and identified what data could still prove him wrong. Prerogative. Noun. A right or privilege that belongs to a particular person or role. It was the director's prerogative to approve the final cut, but she still invited the whole crew to a screening and listened carefully to their notes. Contentious. Adjective. Likely to cause argument because people disagree strongly. The proposal was contentious, and the room grew tight with side conversations until the chair asked for one voice at a time. Defer. Verb. To delay an action or decision until later. They chose to defer the renovation until spring, when contractors were available and the supply costs were less unpredictable. Revoke. Verb. To officially cancel a right, decision, or permission. The platform chose to revoke the vendor's access after repeated violations, documenting each incident to avoid a drawn-out dispute. Accountable. Adjective. Required to explain decisions and accept responsibility for outcomes. He insisted that each owner be accountable for a small set of outcomes, so progress could be measured without endless status meetings. Staunch. Adjective. Firm in loyalty or support. She was a staunch fan of the small library, even when its hours shrank. Yoke. Verb. To join two things together, often in a way that limits freedom. Debt can yoke a small business to lenders who suddenly care about every receipt. Arbitrate. Verb. To settle a dispute by listening to both sides and deciding fairly. They asked her to arbitrate the argument over the shared studio, and she walked them through each complaint until the solution felt ordinary and workable. Modulate. Verb. To change something gradually in order to control its effect. She learned to modulate her voice in negotiations, staying firm without sounding sharp as the conversation moved into difficult territory. Scrupulous. Adjective. Very careful to do what is right and accurate. The old mapmaker was scrupulous about every contour line, erasing and redrawing until the pencil ridges matched the slopes he had walked. Pejorative. Adjective. Expressing disapproval or criticism. Calling the plan pejorative names did not change its numbers, and the mayor asked critics to attack the assumptions instead of the staff who ran the models. Subside. Verb. To become calmer or less intense. When the shouting finally began to subside, the room filled with small sounds again, a chair scraping, a pen clicking, and someone exhaling as if they had been holding their breath. Reluctant. Adjective. Unwilling or hesitant to act. He was reluctant to accept the promotion until he understood how it would affect his time with family and his ability to stay hands-on. Indignant. Adjective. Angry at something seen as unfair or insulting. She grew indignant at the casual accusation, straightened her shoulders, and asked for the records so the matter could be settled with facts. Insidious. Adjective. Harmful in a way that spreads gradually and is hard to notice at first. The insidious leak behind the pantry wall warped the floorboards for months before anyone traced the musty smell to a cracked pipe above the wiring. Welter. Noun. a messy mixture of things in confused pile or turmoil. She waded through a welter of receipts, rubber bands, and coffee stains on audit day. That's everything for this session. If this helped you, subscribe for more. See you next time.